All right, welcome back to Corporate Insider. I was just chatting with the management of Camlin. The stock has been very active over the last 2 or 3 sessions, up 2% in today's trade as well. Remember, amongst the other things, there has been some bit of fund action. Morgan Stanley has bought quite a number of shares, close to 0.5% or thereabouts stake in Camlin as well, 3 or 4 days ago. How is business shaping up for the company? The chairman of the company, Mr. Dilip Dandekar, joins us on Corporate Insider. Thanks so much for joining, Mr. Dandekar. Congratulations, firstly, on taking over as chairman of the company recently. And you seem to be taken over at the right time because everybody is bullish on education. How are your business segments looking at this point of time? Namely, one, the corporate segment, and two, the schooling segment in particular.
Actually, this education segment, the Camlin has a very big dominance. Is shaping up very well, because today with the large population in India and what we have been forecasting that in next 5 to 10 years, the younger generation, which is going to take the major sort of a force into our Indian economy, as well as in where the education, then the corporate sort of a exposure, all these things are going to help in increasing the potential of these products in our country.
Right.
For example, now in last 3 years, I have noticed that there are more than 100% growth in the education, that is in the school segment, has taken place.
Right.
So more and more schools are coming now. Of course, all the metro urban areas are saturated, so most of the schools are coming in the peripheral of the metro areas or the outskirts of that, and those are mainly the what you call the boarding school. So a lot of disposable income is available, or the surplus is available, which is spent on education as well as the extracurricular sort of activity, where we are very strong in hobby range, we are strong in our so-called art, craft and everything. So these are the potential areas.
So I'm guessing from what you're saying right now, Mr. Dandekar, that your margins over the next 3 quarters, 4 quarters, 6 quarters will show an uptick, because people are actually spending a lot more on these instruments.
See, there are various reasons for the growth in the margin. One is that for number of years our industry was reserved for small scale.
Right.
So when the de-reservation policy came into effect, Camlin took a very bold decision of investing a large sum in building the capex, that is the capital assets for manufacturing. And now we have 4 plants at the various location making a specialized products. Like in Jammu we have one plant, Tarapur we have, Vasai and Taloja. So all these 4 plants, what we have done is, one is we have modernized the plant, we have increased the capacity, and we are now quite equipped to meet the challenges for next 2 to 3 years requirement of that.
You wouldn't need to raise any kind of equity funding to do any expansion or acquisitions or your schooling business. I believe you ventured into preschools as well.
Right now, for our stationery business, there is no need of further sort of a capital in there. The internal generation itself is sufficient enough to help in further modernizing or increasing the capacity.
But you do not envisage any fundraising requirements over the next 6 months to 1 year?
No, there are no plans like that. But about the school segment, what you say is that whatever the surplus we are able to spare for the schools business, that is what our policy is there, and accordingly 3 schools we already started. We have made a plan for next 3 years, which are the location where we can further expand into that, and these are our proposals.
Mr. Dandekar, I mean, it's interesting you say that, because whenever I speak to a lot of your peers who are into this preschools business or schools business, it's a very capital intensive or a capital guzzling industry, if I can put it that way. How is it that you will not need to raise funds for this one?
See, basically right now whatever the establishments we have opened, those are not our own establishments. So the major investment goes into buying the establishment. So these are all lease premises. And it's a long-term lease is there. Plus the investment is only in the assets which are required for this setting up the school. Now basically we have fairly established our image and the brand value of Camlin into preschool. We have coined the name as Alpha Kids, which is the brand name for our preschool. And with these premises, we are getting a good response in terms of admissions and as well as the acceptance for many other activities we are doing through the premises level.
Okay, so in light of that, everything seems to be hunky-dory. I was looking at your financials for FY10. You registered a growth of 16% on the top line. The bottom line growth was very impressive, I believe almost 100%. You've done 12 crores in terms of bottom line for FY10. How would FY11, possibly even FY12, but let's start with FY11 look like in terms of top line and bottom line?
See, I mentioned earlier, and which everyone knows, that if it's last 3 years trend, if you see, our performance was not up to the mark. So whatever the growth, 90% or whatever you have seen, is from the lower level like that. So now we have come to such a position that now whatever we'll plan will not be in that proportion, but at least we have made our financial plan for next 3 to 5 years.
Right.
And where the capacity what we invested in the capex as well as the market which is expanding, we have such a strong brand name with 79 years of our experience. And the Camlin's biggest strength is the distribution. So all the inputs are available. So growth what we are planning around 20-25% should not be a problem.
25% on the bottom line?
No, I'm saying the top line.
So
or
bottom line would grow
bottom
more?
line has to be it has to be in that proportion only. Then.
All right. So you would do around 16 to 18 crores maybe in terms of bottom line for FY12, FY11.
It all depends on, as I said, that our first quarter has gone well. The last quarter, that is again the school
Strong
opening
quarter,
time.
right.
So if we do well in the first and fourth quarter, the year always goes well in it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dandekar, for joining us, and all the best with regards to all of those plans. That's Camlin. The stock has been very active over the last few sessions. What has also been very active are the steel stocks, and we've been trying to get in touch with Bhushan Steel for the last 2-3 days. We finally have him, and he'll join us on the other side of the break to talk about what's really happening in the steel space. They have raised prices as well. We'll talk to the management in just a bit.